still gleam a star, baby, 'cause in the dark you can see shiny cars, and that's when you need me there. With you I'll always share, because when the sun shines we'll shine together. Told you I'll be here forever, that I'll always be your friend. Took a note, I must take it out till the end. Now that it's raining more than ever, know that we still have each other. You can stand under my umbrella, you can stand under my umbrella. Ella, Ella, hey, 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 hey.
So the story that I'm going to be narrating today is The Umbrella Man by Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl is known for his books like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, and my favorite was The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. If you haven't read it, please give it a try. So this story is particularly very interesting because this was part of my class 10th ICSE curriculum. And I know ICSE board students are given a lot of flack for like being very intellectual and very choosy in their vocabulary.
That's true.
But
You guys are
but it
insufferable.
oh please. So this story is narrated by a 12-year-old girl,
Hmm.
and she's narrating a very funny incident that happened with her and her mother in London.
Okay.
Yesterday afternoon, my mother took me up to London to see the dentist. He found one hole. It was in the back tooth, and he filled it without hurting me too much. After that, we went to a cafe. I had a banana split, and my mother had a cup of coffee. By the time we got up to leave, it was 6 o'clock. When we came out of the cafe, it had started to rain. We must get a taxi, my mother said. We were wearing ordinary hats and coats, and it was raining quite hard. Now, if you know something about the London weather, is that everyone around is carrying an umbrella with them, and those are like very fancy big umbrellas, and most of them are using it as a stick to walk because the rain there is very unpredictable. And I've
Hmm.
seen that in Bombay also, and it's not like Delhi wali बारिश की तुम मतलब बारिश हो रही है तो तुम थोड़ी देर साइड में खड़े हो जाओ वेट करो कि ये बंद हो जाएगी और फिर मैं अपने नॉर्मल काम पे निकल जाऊंगा.
Hmm.
We stood on the pavement in the rain, looking for a taxi. Lots of them came by, but they all had passengers inside them. I wish we had a car with a chauffeur, my mother said. Just then, a man came up to us. He was a small man and he was pretty old, probably 70 or more. He raised his hat politely and said to my mother, "Excuse me, I do hope you will excuse me." He had a fine white mustache and bushy white eyebrows and a wrinkly pink face. He was sheltering under an umbrella, which he held high over his head. "Yes," my mother said, very cool and distant. "I wonder if I could ask a small favor of you," he said. "It is only a very small favor." Now, the other interesting part about the story is that the little girl is describing her feelings of what she's going through in the story, but at the same time, she's also describing her mother's emotions, what she's going through her expressions. I saw my mother looking at him suspiciously. She is a suspicious person, my mother. She is especially suspicious of two things: strange men and boiled eggs. When she cuts off the top of a boiled egg, she pokes around inside it with her spoon, as though expecting to find a mouse or something. With strange men, she has a golden rule, which says the nicer the man seems to be, the more suspicious you must become. This little old man was particularly nice. He was polite, he was well spoken, he was well dressed, he was a real gentleman. The reason I knew he was a gentleman was because of his shoes. "You can always spot a gentleman by the shoes he wears," was another one of my mother's favorite sayings. This man had beautiful brown shoes. So I remember reading this in class 10th and this is like stuck by with me for the past 10 years. मतलब मैं अभी भी किसी को first impression या judge करना है तो मैं उनके shoes को देखूंगी कि are you wearing like nice shoes? And even my mother says this.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, the little man was saying, I've got myself into a bit of a scrape. I need some help. Not much, I assure you. It's almost nothing, in fact, but I do need it. You see, madam, old people like me often become terribly forgetful. My mother's chin was up and she was staring down at him along the full length of her nose. It was a fearsome thing, this frosty nose stare of my mother's. Most people go to pieces completely when she gives it to them. I once saw my old headmistress begin to stammer and simper like an idiot when my mother gave her a really foul frosty noser. But the little man on the pavement with the umbrella over his head didn't bat an eyelid. He gave a gentle smile and said, I beg you to believe me, madam, that I am not in the habit of stopping ladies in the street and telling them my troubles. I felt quite embarrassed by my mother's sharpness. I wanted to say to her, for heaven's sake, he's a very, very old man and very sweet and polite, and he's in some sort of trouble, so don't be so beastly to him. But I didn't say anything. This is like me with my mother going out and someone's someone's begging and I'm just giving her the look, "Ki, please yaar, help kar do, please be kind."
This is यार हाँ this is all of us in childhood. समझ में नहीं आता इस turn क्यों हो रहे हैं बड़े और हाँ true.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The little man shifted his umbrella from one hand to the other. I've never forgotten it before, he said. My wallet. I must have left it in my other jacket. Isn't that the silliest thing to do? Are you asking me for money? My mother said. Oh, heaven forbid, I should never do that. Then what are you asking? Do hurry up, we're getting soaked to the skin here. I know you are, and that is why I'm offering you this umbrella of mine to protect you and to keep forever if and only if you would give me in return £1 for my taxi fare just to get home. My mother was still suspicious. If you had no money in the first place, then how did you get here? I walked. Every day I go for a lovely long walk and then I summon a taxi to get me home. I do it every day of the year. So why don't you walk home now? My mother asked. Oh, I wish I could. I do wish I could, but I don't think I could manage it on these silly old legs of mine. I've gone too far already. It's a lovely umbrella, the little man said. It's silk. It cost me over £20. But now it's of no importance, so long as I can get home and rest these old legs of mine. I saw my mother's hand, feeling for the clasp of her purse. She saw me watching her. I was giving her one of my own frosty nose looks this time, and she knew. Now listen, mother, I was telling her, you simply mustn't take advantage of a very tired old man in this way. It's a rotten thing to do. My mother paused and looked back at me, then said to the old man, I don't think it's quite right that I should take an umbrella from you worth £20. I think I'd better just give you the taxi fare and be done with it. Oh, no, it's out of the question. I would never accept money from you like that. Take the umbrella, dear lady, and keep the rain off your shoulders. My mother gave a triumphant sideways. There you are, she was telling me. You're wrong, he wants me to have it. She fished into her purse and took out a pound note. She held it out to the little man. He took it and handed her the umbrella. And then he was gone. Why were you so horrid to him in the beginning? I asked. I wanted to satisfy myself he wasn't a trickster. I was very pleased that I was able to help him. This will be a very good lesson for you. Always take your time when you are summing someone up. Then you'll never make mistakes. And suddenly, they see the man. We watched the little man as he dodged nimbly in and out of the traffic. When he reached the other side of the street, he turned left, walking very fast. He doesn't look very tired to me. He doesn't look as though he's trying to get a taxi either, I said. My mother was standing very still and stiff. We could clearly see him. He was in a terrific hurry. He was bustling along the pavement, sidestepping the other pedestrians and swinging his arms like a soldier on the march. We came to the corner and turned right. The little man was about 20 yards ahead of us. He was scuttling along like a rabbit, and we had to walk very fast to keep up with him. The rain was pelting down harder than ever now, and I could see it dripping from the brim of his hat onto his shoulders. But we were very snug and dry under a lovely big umbrella. He went into that door. I saw him. I saw him go into that house. Good heavens, it's a pub. In big red letters, right across the front, it said The Red Lion. Now, I don't know why all of my stories are related to pubs and alcohol, and I seem to have picked this one, but I mean, I liked it when I was in class 10th and I didn't even drink then. So maybe, I don't know.
It was always in your system.
Yeah.
But now that you mentioned Charlie and the chocolate factory, and it makes sense that like the way he sort of deals with all these issues, and like always the dichotomy that he produces by using adults and children together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really like the mother's character because in the end she was like, because her ego got so hurt that.
No, no. The story still left.
Oh, okay.
We stood huddled together outside the pub. I was clutching my mother's arm. The big raindrops were making a loud noise on our umbrella. There he is, over there. The room we were looking into was full of people and cigarette smoke, and a little man was in the middle of it all. He was now without his hat and coat, and he was edging his way through the crowd towards the bar. When he reached it, he placed both his hands on the bar itself and spoke to the barman. The barman turned away from him for a few seconds and came back with a smallish tumbler filled to the brim with a light brown liquid. And then he gave the pound note on the counter. What's in the glass? I asked. Whiskey, my mother said. Neat whiskey. The
Hmm.
barman didn't give him any change from the pound. That must be a treble whiskey, my mother said. What's a treble? 3 times the normal measure, she answered. The little man picked up the glass and put it to his lips. He tilted it gently. Then he tilted it higher, and very soon all the whiskey had disappeared down his throat in one long pour. It cost him more than a pound, I said. It cost him a 20-pound silk umbrella. So it did, my mother said. He must be mad. The little man was standing by the bar with empty glass in his hand. He was smiling now, and a sort of golden glow of pleasure was spreading over his round pink face. I saw his tongue come out to lick the white mustache as though searching for one last drop of that precious whiskey. Slowly, he turned away from the bar and edged his way back through the crowd to where his hat and coat were hanging. He put on his hat, he put on his coat, then, in a manner so superbly cool and casual that you hardly noticed anything at all, he lifted from the coat rack one of the many wet umbrellas hanging there, and he off he went.
Oh, he was a thief. It didn't cost him even a single pound.
Yes. So that's his little game, my mother said. We followed him back to the main street where we had first met him, and we watched him as he proceeded with no trouble at all to exchange his new umbrella for
Hmm.
another pound note. This time it was with a tall, thin fellow who didn't even have a coat or a hat. As soon as the transaction was completed, our little man trotted off down the street and was lost in the crowd. But this time he went in the opposite direction. You see how clever he is, my mother said. He never goes to the same pub twice. He could go on doing this all night. Yes, my mother said, but I bet he prays like mad for rainy days. That's it.
Nice. Also, like, I don't know, for some reason I saw this as a very good short film. Like, just agar wo wala part dekhe to ki, the mother and the daughter, they are watching him, and how the mother is teaching her, even though she is teaching
Yeah.
through his theft, but she is teaching her daughter a lot of tact. So, so it's nice. It's a good element. Good,
Yeah.
nice. What's the title of the story?
The Umbrella Man by
Oh,
Roald
अच्छा हाँ
Dahl.
हाँ तूने बोला था पहले.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this story. A big shout out to Manish Kotyar for lending his beautiful voice and doing that amazing song cover. For further details related to the episode and our mini series, Sola Parchi Dub, do check out the description box.